Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Intercessions. I am so excited today to be speaking to Yamini Kalluri, who is a world-class Kuchipudi dancer. We'll talk about it a little bit more, of course, in the course of our interview today, but Kuchipudi is a form of South Indian classical dance, of which Yamini has emerged as one of the brilliant young exponents of. So I'm really excited to talk to her today. She is based in New York City, where she teaches, performs, and choreographs full-time. She now offers performances, workshops, intensives, and production direction internationally, with an aim to bring a new face and bigger representation to Kuchipudi globally. Yamini was raised in Hyderabad, India, and has been celebrated by the New York Times and the BBC as being a Kuchipudi sensation. She is a disciple of the legendary guru, Padma Shri Dr. Shobha Naidu. She began exhibiting signs of her extraordinary talent and dedication to dance at a very young age. At the age of 12, she not only began performing throughout India, but also began teaching at Dr. Shobha Naidu's school. She went on to complete a certification course in Kuchipudi from Potti Sriramulu Telugu University in Hyderabad, with distinctions in 2013, and further refined her style under the mentorship of the renowned Kuchipudi guru, Vempati Ravi Shankar. At the age of 18, she began performing internationally at various prestigious festivals, and offered workshops in the United States, the UK, Russia, Argentina, and Canada. A world-class dancer, Yamini is known for her grace, agility, and uncompromising perfection. She aims to bring a new face to Kuchipudi, and her ambition and passion led her to move to New York City, where she now teaches, performs, and trains in ballet and modern dance at the Martha Graham School of Contemporary Dance full-time. In exploring various disciplines of dance and music in the West, Yamini has not only developed her own unique style and technique, but has expanded and diversified her dance repertoire by collaborating with many talented musicians. Yamini has also trained intensively in Carnatic music, which inspires her to create and arrange original music to her original dance choreographies, with the feedback and support from her ensemble musicians from the Kritya ensemble. She looks forward to working and collaborating with young artists who are grounded in tradition, but also importantly, who are courageous enough to experiment with these ancient art forms while keeping its intent sacred and honest. Yamini, I discovered you originally through a piece that you had choreographed that set classical Indian dance to, I think it was Brahms, or it was Bach, excuse me. And it was stunning and beautiful and innovative, and also retained so much of what I think makes classical Indian dance truly unique among art forms. So it was a brilliant sort of marriage of East and West, and I'm so excited to talk to you today all about it.
Yeah, I'm excited too. When I got to know that you yourself trained in Kuchipudi and all of that, it was really nice connecting with you, and I can't wait to see where our connection goes beyond.
I know. So thank you so much for talking to me today. I think you're a brilliant artist and a really fierce visionary. And I'm already so excited to see all the things you've done, and no doubt you're just getting started too. But let's start, Yamini, by talking about where were you born? You were born in the United States. That's right?
Yeah, I was born in the United States, Cincinnati, Ohio, and I grew up in Sacramento, California for some time, and then my parents moved back to moved back to India. So I grew up in India, Hyderabad, which is in South India. And then I left India when I was 18, and I kind of set my ground, established myself in New York when I was 19.
And when did you start studying Indian classical dance?
I think I was 7 or 8. I think I was 8 years old. Yeah.
And what was it, something that mom signed you up for and you went kicking and screaming, or what was the?
I mean, I was a very mischievous child, and um, I, my mom is a single mother, and my grandparents were raising my brother and I, and she put me in a lot of different things to have me engaged and occupied. So I was doing chess, Scrabble, painting, yoga, music, and also dance. And then she would drop us off at the British Library back in Hyderabad. And there was something or the other to keep us really occupied, because I would like burn things, steal things from, destroy the garden. My grandma was, my grandma had still there in our backyard, but I used to be very destructive as a kid. So to I had a lot of energy, and my mom was like, okay, she needs to do a lot of these things. So she would put us in all these summer camps, which had all these activities. And then after summer camp, it started with a summer camp. And then my mom asked me, do you still want to continue dancing? And then I was like, yeah, I like playing with my friends. I like that environment. So why not? There were like hundreds of kids there, and I made my friends and I wanted to play. It was not particularly for dance. I did like dance. It's not like I did not like it. I liked it, but it was not like love at first sight.
Yeah.
I was like drawn to it, but not in a very powerful way either. And yeah, I did lots of these things. And also the reason she put me in dance particularly was Shobha Naidu, as you know, was a very legendary dancer. She passed away. And my mom, uh we just moved back from the United States, and she got to know this news because before she was in Chennai, and now she was like, oh, now she is in Hyderabad, and there's this premier institution for Kuchipudi in Hyderabad. So why don't I put my daughter in Kuchipudi? And for the reason for that also is because we are Telugu, and Kuchipudi is a Telugu dance style. And she was very particular for me to speak Telugu well,
Yeah.
read Telugu well. And also I sing Carnatic music, and understanding the literature of the music I sing, and the pronunciation, and also doing a Telugu dance style was very important for my mom and my family. We take a lot of pride in being Telugu, and a lot of Telugu people don't, because I observe that they get ashamed of speaking in Telugu. They rather find it cool speaking in English or Hindi, which is
Sure.
a spoken language in India. But it was seen more sophisticated to do that. But I always knew and understood the beauty and value of Telugu because I was immersed in Kuchipudi. I would read poetry, and I always loved engaging in full-blown Telugu sentences. And yeah, that's these are the reasons why my mom put me in Kuchipudi dance training. Yeah.
And so your mom was a Carnatic singer too, which, if you don't mind explaining what Carnatic music is for people who might not know.
Yeah, in India, there are two kinds of classical music styles. One is Hindustani music, which is from the north, and the Carnatic music, which is from the south. And we have a lot of different scales, which we call ragas, and a lot of different rhythmic cycles, which are called talas. And basically, it goes that way. And also, like how opera is mostly written in Italian, German, and French, and a little bit of English, Spanish too. But most of Carnatic music is usually composed in Telugu, because, like Italian, it's first Italian for opera, because when a language is always ends in vowels,
Uh-huh.
it to set the music in that language. So that is why a lot of music is arranged and composed in Telugu. So yeah, Carnatic music has a lot of Telugu, but it does have a good amount of Tamil, Kannada, and Malayalam, and a lot of Sanskrit as well. Sanskrit shared language between Sanskrit is an old language like Latin, and it's a shared language between the North Indian style and the South Indian styles of music. And yeah, that's a little bit. Yeah, my mom did sing, and she also played the Veena. Veena is like a string instrument from South India. It's very resonant and very
Rich. Yeah.
rich. So yeah, um, my mom did that. So she appreciated art because she had a musical ear. And also when she was growing up, she grew up watching all these stalwarts perform in the golden era. Because not only Shobha Naidu, but Ravi Shankar, the sitar player, Yamini,
Yeah.
all these people were repping India, and it was like the golden era for all the Indian artists, and all the Western artists were being inspired by Indian culture and art back in those days. So my mom was in that era, and I kind of envy her that she got to enjoy art in its like prime, and like everybody was a risk taker, and they were, India was seeing its glory, after we got our independence and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, right now also there are a lot of amazing things happening. It's not that, but I can see how that was really exciting to like
Sure.
embrace.
Especially so much of the art was went underground during the colonial rule. So yeah, maybe a lot of people don't know that.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm just imagining all that excitement, and the beautiful dance films which came out, like Sagara Sangamam. These are all the art films which were out in South India, which is Salangayoli in Tamil. But Sagara Sangamam, Swati Mutyam, Swarna Kamalam, all these K. Vishwanath's movies, all about dance, like people being full-time artists in these movies. And
Yeah.
actually, because she watched them, she made me watch them. And when I watched them, actually, those movies were one of the reasons that today I am a full-time dancer, because the passion he's shown and the beauty you can enjoy,
Yeah.
and how just the process of art itself is beautiful than results and outcomes. So it was just all these art films. I never really watched new films, the commercial ones. I always grew up watching black and white movies, um, and all these art films back in the day by Bapu. So Bapu is a Telugu painter, artist, who also did films. So each of his scenes was basically a painting. Each of his frames,
Uh-huh.
basically a painting he did or a sketch he made. How beautiful is that? Like seldom do you see film directors in India like that.
Yeah.
Maybe some indie, but we don't know, with all these Karan Johar and all these people.
Yeah, it's different for sure.
Yeah, especially like when RRR, the Telugu
Yeah.
movie, Oscar, and everybody's like, yeah, RRR, but it's one of the trashiest movies of Telugu. People don't know that Bapu's movie, Bapu, the Telugu director and painter, that his movie is in the Oxford University's collections of
Yeah.
movies. People study that film to like
Yeah.
uh, understand the history of film across the world. It's
Sure.
so yeah. Anyway, well, doing all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, Yamini, you're this little kid with this you're a little bundle of destructive energy, and your mom throws you into a classical Indian dance class. And what was your first impressions of it? I think what most people might not know is that a Kuchipudi class is very rigorous. It's similar to, I think, the way ballet is taught here in the United States, which we have also both studied. It's very hierarchical. The class itself has a strict code of conduct. I can imagine an 8 or 9-year-old little girl with so much energy not loving that.
Yeah, I think my first impression was I went there to the school and they were all chanting these shlokas or verses from Natya Shastra. And
Which is the ancient text. Yeah.
exactly. So from Natya Shastra, and they were actually reciting a shloka about Mother Earth. And everybody in unison was chanting with the Shruti on. And I was like, I never experienced anything like that.
Yeah.
So it was so powerful to listen to all these girls, could be 100 of them, just chanting the shloka and the teacher with command sitting in front of them. It's just so, and I was like, I want to do that and I can do this. And
Yeah.
intimidated, I remember. It was like, I want to join now. But they said,
Yeah.
you can join us in the summer camp in May. It's almost like the regular semester or the classes will be done in a couple weeks. So it's better you join us in the summer camp and then you can come back to our regular classes. So I was like, okay, I gotta wait now. Fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember the stomping together, hundreds of us just stomping together, and like that one teacher being in command and listening to her. It just felt right.
Sure.
And the hierarchy and stuff, I used to be frustrated because a lot of the hierarchy in Kuchipudi was not even technique sometimes.
Yeah.
In ballet also could be the same, like the skinny girls getting the priority. But in Kuchipudi was about having the hourglass. And I don't have that clearly. I was always skinny. I'm still skinny. And skinny is not seen like as the desired body type for Kuchipudi. So I was very frustrated and disappointed. And I was like, I worked so hard and I'm so good at this. I knew that I was the best in my group. And I was teaching. I started teaching when I was 12. Because I would go every single day, even if I had a fever or running a fever or something, I would still go to class. There was some social engagement with my family. I would go to class, and with my sweaty face, I would go to the wedding or whatever. Yeah. Right. So I was always there, and I would work my butt off, and I used to grasp the quickest in the class too. Like Kuchipudi is known for its plate dancing, and I remember I stepped on it and I was like, I was going for it, whereas other people were losing their balance, they couldn't move the plate, the brass plate dance, and I always knew that yeah, I was kind of made for this because it came so naturally for me, and there's this love building for it. Yes, I do remember saying like I didn't have like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, because first I wanted to become an actor, an archaeologist, like a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But I watched my teacher perform Sri Krishna Parijatam, which is a dance production, and she was Princess Satyabhama, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to tell stories like that. I want to command the theater like that. And I felt like I can do that. I think there's that fire in me.
Yeah.
And I'm made for this. That's when I felt that yeah, I love dancing. And from that night onwards, there wasn't a single day I didn't think about dance obsessively. And I would after my day was done, I would sit in front of the mirror until 2 a.m. and practice my the mime expressions and my poise, and I would keep practicing. I would put music on and like improve my technique. It was an obsession and a devotion. And I was also very devoted to my teacher until a certain point, and that's a different topic. But I was very obsessed and devoted to my teacher and the craft. And yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So what did studying Kuchipudi at such a serious level look like for you? You would go to school in the morning, come home, practice dance, weekly lessons. What did that look like exactly?
So Monday to Friday, I would go to dance class from 5 p.m. to 8, 10. It
Yeah.
was going. But yeah, so in the morning at 8 until 3 p.m. there was school. I would come home around 3:30 and I would quickly have lunch and take a nap. And at 4:30, I would leave for dance class, arrive to dance class at 5. And then until 9 p.m. I was in dance class. And I would come back, eat, do my homework, practice, sleep at 1, repeats. And Saturday, Sunday, yeah, in the beginning, I wouldn't go to dance class Saturday, Sunday. But then after I started teaching and I went to an advanced level, my teacher wanted me 6 days a week. Sundays, I wouldn't really go, but I would go 6 days a week for sure. And it was like 5 to 6 hours of dancing, and then school. And yeah, it was less sleep. I had to juggle both, but my teachers at my academic school were very, very understanding. But also I was good at my academics. Like I did work hard. I did get good grades. I did my best.
Yeah.
And also I would contribute a lot to my schools, representing my school competitions. Like I was a good speaker, and obviously I'm a dancer, and I would represent my school as a team to do debates,
Sure.
declamation, and dance competitions, and writing. I was seen. Yeah, I was the face of my school, and I was the cultural secretary for my school. So whenever I had a performance and an exam at the same time and I had to go for the tour, my teachers would understand, and they would let me go for the dance performance. And I'm so grateful. Also, my mom put me in a school which is not like a traditional Indian school where they're like, get 100 on 100 and like so sciencey and mathy.
Yeah.
Or it's like a spiritual school. So
Okay.
we have a lot of days where we would start with meditation and
Oh,
self-reflection
wow.
and personality development stuff. And like a lot of our classes until middle school was just acting, dancing, pottery, craft, more than
Yeah.
actual academics. We didn't have examinations and a lot of tests until 8th grade.
Okay.
So very chill, joyful, like childhood oriented, like preserve your childhood. But because of dance, though the school was great, because of dance class, my childhood was not protected, because you know the toxicity of the dance teachers and the bullying and all of that. And also I had my own family issues going on back at home.
Yeah, you're
So
a teenager. Yeah.
So, yeah, childhood was stolen from me at a very young age, but I don't resent it.
I don't think you do, actually.
Yeah, I don't resent
Yeah.
it at all. It gives me a lot of depth, a lot of wistful art creation,
Yeah.
a lot of wonder and empathy. Yeah, I mean, I'm still healing from a lot of those things, but I don't regret any of those. I'm
Yeah.
not, I used to be angry. I'm not angry anymore. I can say that for sure. Yeah. But the school itself was wonderful. it was great. And they really supported me to become a there were a few teachers who are like, haha, you're going to be a full-time dancer. Let's see how that happens. But I never cared. I don't know. I think there was a certain kind of grace in my life where I knew though there was a lot of bullying and no support from a lot of people, I was like, I don't care. I love dance. And I know I'll make it. I know I'll make it. Because it's not even me. It felt like there was a divine grace and like a lot of karmic stuff coming together. It's not like, oh, I can do it on my own. No, I actually did not do it on my own. They were like the right people, right timing, right opportunities coming, right? We had all a compounded experience, a complex existence of numerous elements making us up.
Yeah.
So I do not completely take credit for everything, but I always knew it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I know I'm going to dance full time. It's good. I'm going to be great at what I do, and there will be abundance. I never thought, how will I make money out of this? I know things will fall in place. It was hard. It was hard. There were times I couldn't pay my rent and I almost was gonna be kicked out from my own apartment and stuff like that. But I knew things will fall in place if I stayed devoted and committed and kept my integrity.
Yeah. Did you ever consider doing something else when you were a teenager? You have this singular obsession with dance that carries you through your young adult life. Did you ever consider doing something other than classical dance?
No, I was too good at it.
Yeah.
When I say good at it, meaning I had that support and love from my teacher, and things came so easy and I was enjoying it. When I say good, it's not like I have the skill. It's more like I'm loving it. I get it. There's support.
Yeah.
I see a future in this, and I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I do something else. I think it's stupid to do something else and throw this gift away. And nothing else caught my attention like that. Maybe for some people they have multiple loves, but for me,
This was it.
this was it. I mean, I do love writing. But for me, dance is writing.
Yeah.
Dance reading. Dance is learning a language. Dance is learning music. Dance is fashion, costume designing.
Yeah.
It is spatial awareness. Dance is just is a compilation of various art forms. So that is why also I chose dance over acting, because dance has acting too.
Yeah.
Dance has music too. Dance has all these elements. So why would I leave dance for acting? Because when dance has abhinaya is the mime, facial expressions, and the expression of the body, right? You tell stories. Unlike Western art forms where dance is separate from theater, in Indian school of thought, dance and acting, drama are inseparable.
Yeah.
And I love that about this school of thought. And I would never leave dance, because dance completes everything. And dance is also a spiritual pursuit. In Indian philosophy, you don't dance to dance. You dance because you dance to find yourself, to find the divine energy, right? So it's not just an empty, vain pursuit. So when dance is all of this, when dance is a lifestyle, I don't see why not,
Yeah. Was that spiritual aspect of Kuchipudi apparent to you even as a young girl, or is that something that you've come to appreciate more as you've gotten older?
I think because of my child, like how dark my childhood is, I always looked for spiritual things in every little thing to save myself, to as an escape from the pain. I remember I had like a Ganesh painting in my room, in my bedroom, and I would play that like some Carnatic music and would just keep saying Om Ganeshaya Namaha, not because I didn't know what else to do. It was just a way to save myself from all the pain and darkness, loneliness in my childhood. And yeah, dance, yes, obviously we start with all the namaskaram, which is the gratitude prayer to all the elements, the gods, your teachers, parents, and everybody you know in life, and Mother Earth, and the chanting, which is also a gratitude session to the creators of dance and drama in Indian uh, art forms. It starts with that, and then all the choreographies are about God and stuff. It was, yeah, in that way, it's pretty apparent. But for me, I needed it.
Mm.
I don't know if I'd be here today, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I had a lot. I struggled with depression and like suicidal ideation and all of that as a teenager. And even when I was young, like there was no suicidal thoughts, but they were like, I wish I could disappear because no one loves me, or stuff like that. And there were times I would be in my dark staircase just crying hours and hours. So I needed that kind of light, or else I don't know what I would have become, or I don't know if I would be here today. So I had to connect with that. And all these choreographies and these themes and the literature and the music saved me. And it was my spiritual process. And I'm glad dance saved me more than any medication on all of that. In fact, I quit medication because I couldn't feel the music anymore.
Yeah.
Music felt like noise. Dance felt like exercise. And the literature I was reading felt like random gibberish words.
Yeah.
There's no emotion and feeling anymore. And instead of silencing my demons with medication, I was like, I want to wake them up by quitting. I tapered them down. My mom is a doctor, so I'm wise. I didn't like quit like in a dumb, foolish way, but I was like, I want my demons back,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna tame them
Yeah.
with sing my music and my spiritual practice. I'm not going to silence them, and I'm going to show them love. That's a very important moment for me, because the medication in fact made my suicidal stuff worse. I had to be put on tranquilizers. I don't even know how some people do it. It was very hard for me. Still, depression does come here and there because of my menstrual cycle, but it's important where is it to just sit and understand where is it coming from instead of shunning it. I think we all get uncomfortable and we look for ways to shun the discomfort and push it away. But I've learned that I need this discomfort not only to feed my creative process, but also to understand what are those core problems which were not fixed back in my teenage days. Is my self-worth or things like that? Like, what are those things which still need love instead of medicating or drinking or smoking pot? Those things are just a temporary numbingness. And I also had like a little alcohol problem when I was 17. My mom was hospitalized because she got a stroke. And yeah, these are all, I'm so glad I quit to being that alcohol. I was not an alcoholic, but I had like a
Yeah.
little with that. But I don't drink anymore. I'm sober, and I don't do any substances. I avoid caffeine and sugars as much, and like really sit with my discomfort. And when I say this to a lot of young people my age, they think I'm punishing myself, but I'm choosing to be disciplined and all of that because I can have the um, freedom and liberties to do whatever I want with my art form. Because the more I want to be enslaved to all these escapisms, the more of a rut I am in. And I'm not a good creator anymore because I'm practicing to consume. Art is to create. I want to be a creator of purpose and meaning and beauty.
Yeah.
And constantly in the cycle of consume, consume, consume so I can numb my pain. But what if I turn that cycle of create, create, create so I can embrace this discomfort and demons, like transcend the pain into art? For me, that is what my creative process is about. The Bach pieces you saw came from a very nasty breakup. A very, very nasty breakup. And not nasty meaning like I was glad I was out of the relationship, but the relation itself was very, very toxic. Not from just his perspective, but my demons were coming out. My demons invited his demons out, and the demons were dating. It was not the good sides of us anymore. And it was very awful. And that pain of basically the Bach pieces were about who was that Yamini in that relationship? Who was that girl? I don't recognize her, right? So a lot of my pieces and my choreographies come from this contemplation process and healing process. And that is why I don't want to choreograph generic, like, oh, Sita went to Rama. But what if I am the heroine who is in love with this God and who is this? I like to make the stories very personalized because this is my healing process more than therapy. This is it. And it's sacred for me.
Yeah. So tell me, Yamini, you started teaching at a very young age. 12 is quite, that's unusual to be now responsible for another student's education at such a tender young age too. What was that like?
I always liked being center of attention because I did not get attention as a kid. I I always loved leading people, like in group school, even small group projects in school at school. I would be, let me come up with the ideas. You do this, you do that, you do this. This is how you must do it. This is an efficient way to do it. Why would you do like that? Let's do it. Like I love command people. I like to take the leadership role. And I would be like, there were some kids who would be, why do you have to like be the alpha? Why can't you just like be with the, but I just love leading people
Yeah.
and being like the powerful, have a powerful position in the group. And then I first start, I actually, to be very honest, I started teaching even younger as an assistant teacher. So whenever the main teacher would be absent or she had too many kids to manage, I would teach. Like she would say, teach to these kids. There are just so many kids now. I can't manage, and I would teach. And also, I remember this yoga teacher suddenly quit in Shobha Naidu school, and I was teaching yoga classes because there was no one there was no one else, and we still wanted yoga classes. And seeing this, like how I was like taking up responsibility and going to class every single day and knowing all my stuff, having full command and very curious, doing my work. My teacher was like, yeah, she looks, when I was 12, I looked like 8, honestly.
Yeah, you look young too.
Yeah. So, yeah, she looks like a child. She is a child, but we need a teacher who's reliable and who can command a class. though I was so puny, there are hundreds of kids. I was never scared. I just loved the attention and commanding, like, now stand straight
Yeah.
and chant, elbows up, like
Yeah.
I love commanding the room. And people would underestimate me first looking at me. Then I would sit up with my straight spine, and like
Yeah.
they would get. I was a very strict teacher. I'm still strict, very strict teacher. I don't take any BS.
Yeah.
No excuses, nothing of that sort. No, you don't talk.
Yeah.
You to what I say, you do it. And now I'm more empathetic. I've calmed down because my best friend, who is also my business partner in school, the managing director, she gives me feedback. We have feedback meetings every now and then, and she's like, I think today you were a little harsh. And I'm like, no, in classical dance you gotta be that harsh, and people gotta get it. This is like the
Yeah.
military, and
Yeah. Yeah.
go through it. But then I apologize to her and I say, you're right, little love and kindness wouldn't hurt anybody. So why not just be kind and loving when possible? But you also need to be stern when you have to be. So to find that balance is very important as a teacher. Have your boundaries and be like, I expect this. Sorry, I'm not going to teach you choreographies until you master your basics. This is
Yeah.
not a crash course, or I'm not going to do this people pleasing commercial thing with you. First, get your basics,
Yeah.
have posture, smile in class. A lot of South Asians, let me talk for Indians, why I keep put South Asians in a box, but a lot of Indians are very reserved. They like to have like a very reserved face with no emotions, or like smile, angry, or I'm a very animated person. So I used to get very frustrated how people were always like this, like a nerdy look. And like there are a lot of stand-up comedians and all these people who make fun of like Indians are reserved and nerdy. I'm like, actually, that's not even a joke. They are. Because I'm the black sheep, literally, in many ways. Indians are doctors and engineers. That's also not a joke. A lot of them are, because a lot of my students, I tell them, like, I'm going to support you to be a full-time dancer. I'm going to work with you. Let's get scholarships, grants. I'll put you in the best school. I'm going to teach you for free. I have scholarship programs. They're like, I'm going to become a doctor. Didn't you just hear what I said? It's okay. It's a culture they want to be. I can't do anything about that, right? But it's not. A lot of Indians say on public platforms, we don't have the resources, we don't have the teachers. That's why we are not becoming full-time artists of any kind. And I am here saying, but I will support you for free, but you still want to be a software engineer. So I
Yeah.
don't, I'm also very impatient. So I want the results now sometimes.
Sure.
Because also I've been teaching for 13 years already.
Yeah.
And I'm like looking for that one, at least that one apprentice who's like, I'm dedicating my life to dance. Here is my life. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I just go to these festivals, chaperone my student around, and like
Yeah.
go see her in the best dance school. And I just want to do that
Yeah.
already.
I can
Is
sense that. Yeah.
feel an urgency. But I
Yeah.
think close, I think that student is coming.
Yeah.
It's the Messiah is coming, right? That
Do,
student is coming.
do you find that more young women and men, because there are men studying classical Indian dance, do you think it's becoming increasingly popular?
Studying for college credits.
Oh, I see. Okay. Not professionally.
Yeah. No. So it's a lot of people who are studying for college credits and be this versatile person, or be fit and enjoy Indian goddess vibes sometimes when it's non-Indians, like, I'm a
Sure.
goddess feeling my chakras. No,
Yeah.
actually, we are not going to talk about chakras in this class.
Yeah.
It's not namaste. Nothing of that is going to happen. And they come to wear the costume and the jewelry. No, you're not going to wear that yet. These are, it's a privilege. You need to earn.
Yeah.
You right. It's
Yeah.
not right to wear that costume however you want, the jewelry. When I'm taking my driving lessons, and they said driving is a privilege, not a right. Heck yeah. You know, dancing is a right, right?
Yeah.
Dancing itself is a right.
Sure.
But to have those choreographies and to be on stage, to wear that sacred costume and jewelry is a privilege.
Yeah.
All of them can't flaunt with that stuff. You need to earn it.
Sure.
Everybody earn it if they work for it. Yes.
Yeah.
We need to understand that the work itself is a right.
Yes.
So you must enjoy your rights first to earn the privilege. So if you're always outcome based, I want to wear that costume, I want to do that Shiva dance Yamini is doing, or that other YouTube dancer is doing, bye. Classical dance is not for you.
Sure.
Better you do that semi-classical Bollywood. Is it worse? Am I looking down upon it? No, it's another philosophy. It's another way of thinking. It's another vibration of its own. You go there because it's all about every class you learn a choreography. That's the industry of, that is how that industry is made, the commercial dance industry. If you're a process oriented person, come to classical dance. And if you're okay with being stuck in one step for months, come to classical dance. You come for the joy of process because you love dancing. You do not come to be here and be there.
Yeah.
To have other dance styles to satisfy you. They're not bad. I do them too sometimes.
Yeah.
Down upon them. It's just a different frequency, a vibration, another process.
Yeah.
That's what I want my students to know. And yeah, there are a lot of students learning from me. I just am waiting for first one, at least one. Then I want to have more.
Yeah.
But one first, I like almost like my daughter, I just
Yeah.
like my motherly instincts are kicking in. But I don't want to be like my teacher, possessive, and be like, do only Kuchipudi and like, don't do this and don't do that, don't dress like that. I don't want to control her life. I just want to give. I want to give all the abundant knowledge and resources I've gained. I just want to give. And I want to see her blossom and do whatever she wants with that knowledge.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Something tells me that she's coming soon, Yamini.
Yeah, maybe she's already there in my students, but don't get me wrong, there are a lot of committed, dedicated students. All like, I see these adult students, like they couldn't even touch their toes, and then now they're in their splits.
Wow.
And like, they learned all their basics so well, and they have that perfect posture. They're good, but then they also have all these like other responsibilities and stuff.
It's different.
I just want to see another Yamini.
She's out there, I promise. So tell me, Yamini, you study, you give your life to classical dance in India. Until when did you decide to come to the United States?
So I was 19. 18, I left India. I was sick and tired of it because there were no opportunities. It's all power, connections, and money. And we come from a very middle class family, and my mom could only do so much. We don't have any. My mom is not a dancer. We don't have connections. She's not rich. We don't have political connections. So there was no way. And I also, the worst thing is, I kind of cut my relationship with my teacher, because to be very honest, a lot of people gossip about this thing, like when I come out about my teacher, and like I'm supposed to hide the truth. See, this is the thing. I have no need to lie, especially because I was 13, I was 14 actually, when the abuse started. And why would I lie about my childhood like that? I mean, there are people who lie for different reasons, but the reason I want to come out, because I'm kind of frustrated with how much in Indian culture we kind of idolize these gurus who are imperfect and have a lot of mental health issues and have addictions and have such sad lives. And we put them on a pedestal, like just because we chant Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva, they're not that, honestly, the gurus we have right now. Yeah, you can see some good qualities in them and take the resources and look up to them for their skill and expertise, but they're not gurus. Some are sickos. That's what it is. And all of the abuse, the narcissistic abuse I went through it, I had to get out of the relationship when I was 17. And that's when I went to Ravi Shankar, but there were politics of, ruining reputation and, spreading rumors, false rumors about you. It's all just so toxic. And for someone like me who's so creative and wants that freedom to just blossom and create all this art, because I was already kind of like a ghost choreographer. Like I was like arranging all these dance compositions and like arranging music, and I was already choreographing when I was 15, 16. In fact, my first fallout with my teacher, she said she wouldn't help me for my certification course exam anymore. And I'm such a stubborn person. And I'm like, just because she doesn't want to help me anymore and she doesn't want to work with me anymore, I'm not gonna quit this exam. I choreographed all my pieces for, I was 14. I had to choreograph a tarangam. It's a long piece. I had to choreograph all my pieces for my exam. No one helped me, not a single soul. There was a dancer who kind of like, gave me some support, but in the actual process, I had to do it all by myself. There was no one. And that kind of, like that, how narcissists like change their personality, and, like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing. It was very shocking to me. It was very traumatizing. And I had to choreograph my pieces, and there was a lot of trying to ruin my reputation and my family's reputation all the time. Like, which innocent teenage girl who's just 13, 14 years old deserves that? If that is not abuse, what else is? And when I came out about these stories, a lot of her students, again, were like, oh, she has no respect for her guru. And like, dude, it's a child who went through all of this, and now I'm coming out about that. And you also went through similar experiences with her. And instead of supporting the victims of this, you just shove it under the rug and say this is not abuse and you're just a disrespectful person. So this is very common in South Asian cultures. Of when abuse comes out, you blame the victim and not the abuser. And then the final fallout happened when there were more girls being groomed and abused by this teacher. I I was like, I had to get those girls out and tell them, you can still dance without her. Just because she's the world famous stalwart doesn't mean your dance career ends at the school. There are so many other brilliant dance teachers who are not toxic like this teacher, and you're not dancing because of this woman. You can still dance. A lot of, because how the reputations were ruined, a lot of these girls, including myself, we were very suicidal, because wherever we go, oh, you're Yamini, this happened to you, I heard about that, it's so nasty. It's so nasty. And there, when I created my school, I'm like, no one is going to talk like that in my school. No one is going to bully. Everybody's beautiful. You're not going to get bullied for being slightly overweight or being skinny, for your looks, for your skill. You all get equal attention, no matter what your goals are with dance. You're all equally loved. I keep telling my students, like, you can be so weird in class. You can go all out and look funny. Yeah. And I only celebrate you for that, because you're taking a risk. No one is going to talk behind your back and gossip. That's not allowed in my school. We are all in this together. I'm your friend and your teacher, and you're never going to call me a guru. Don't put me on a pedestal, because people see me on Instagram and my visibility and on YouTube, and they're, Yamini, I'm a big fan. Like, stop that. You already distanced yourself from me by being a fan. Be my student, not my fan. Be my friend, not my fan. Right? So that pedestal kind of worshipping thing already ruins everything. And that's very prevalent in Telugu culture. Instead of unlocking our own potential, we are wasting our time worshipping other people. And that kind of mentality really, frustrates me. And with Kritya, my school, that's one goal. Like, I don't want that toxicity. And yeah, to get away from the toxicity, I basically moved to New York when I was 19, because India just was this toxic place for me. I couldn't speak my truth anymore. The choreographies I do are seen weird, and the exploration I do is not accepted. My teacher and I don't talk to each other anymore, and she passed away recently. So because I don't have a teacher who vouches for me, I can't be part of any of these Margali season dance festivals anymore, because I can't go there on my own. It's always have to be that legendary guru who has to vouch for you. And I am doing this all by myself. I don't have anybody who can vouch for me and I have to get my own opportunities and do my own networking. And it's fine, I'm happy. I don't care about all these season festivals or whatever. All I care about is I want to be healthy so I can keep dancing and teaching and create works I can. That's all I care about. And this is why I moved to New York, because I have that freedom to do all of that. And I won't constantly be judged and policed for being a woman, dressing this way, speaking that way, not being with a guru, random gossips about my chastity and stuff like that. I'm tired of it, honestly. I hope it gets better in India and we stop sugarcoating all of this. I'm tired of the fake talk, like I'm so indebted to my guru. And we all know that guru is an abuser, that guru has been toxic. So I just want that to end. I'm looking forward to conversations where dancers are openly speaking about these traumas and toxic things that happen so we don't become them. The reason the toxic guru tradition is continuing because we don't talk about it. We are canceling all these random people. We need to cancel those toxic people and say, get therapy, and then we'll get you back. First go get therapy instead of ruining these young girls' reputations.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm sure, I've grown up in the United States, obviously, and I'm sure that once you came here and talked more with dancers in New York City and so on, you'd find that the themes that you're describing, I think, are not really unique to India. They're not unique to South Asia. Any sort of the politics that you describe, we have that all here too. And I think you probably feel it acutely because that was your childhood. But all of these very intensive fields that are hyper competitive are sort of plagued by the same evils everywhere. There's a dark side to the arts here for sure, that I'm sure, very famous ballet companies have struggled with this publicly. So I'm happy for you that this was an escape, a place of refuge that you could come to. And I'm sure you'll hear many more young dancers who grew up in the United States, though, echo your story.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard, but I mean, by the time I came here, I wasn't really a student anymore. I mean, I went to the Martha Graham, but there's always that safe distance between me and my teachers. I always was very goal oriented. I'm going to Martha Graham because I'm gonna get this technique, but I'm still an Indian classical dancer. I'm gonna get sources and get out. I was never really attached to. I mean, I did have like a little phase of I want to become the Martha Graham company dancer, but I was like, no, I lies in being this unique dancer who does Indian classical dance, but brings this unique quality to Indian classical dance with her ballet and modern dance training.
So tell me then, Yamini, when did you decide to diversify from just Indian classical dance? You moved to New York when you're 18 and 19. And then what inspired you to explore other dance forms?
So when I was really young, around 9 or 10 years old, I watched Bolshoi ballet in Hyderabad, and I wanted to learn ballet ever since, but I didn't have the opportunity to do so back in India. And then after I had a fallout and all this toxicity, I kind of got tired of Kuchipudi because the experience was contaminated with all this toxicity, and I was like, I was getting sick of Kuchipudi because doing Kuchipudi was reminding me of all the abuse and all these things which were going on, and I was like, I just want to stem out from all this. And I wanted to study dance at the Roehampton University in London, and I did get accepted and I got a scholarship, but that wasn't enough to support me because we were in debt, middle class family, not enough to show not the scholarship wasn't enough for me to actually attend school. So then I was like, I'm a US citizen. I was born in the US. Why don't I just move to New York and just figure it out from there? So I started with like teaching jobs and random internships and all of that. And from, that's how I kind of figured it out. And while I was doing like school lecture demonstrations on Indian classical dance in all these public schools, I met this modern dancer who went to Martha Graham School, and he watched me and he said, you will love Graham technique. And there are these $5 classes every Tuesday. The reason I went is because the classes were $5. I couldn't afford anything else.
Yeah.
I would get a meal or something outside. My bank balance was zero, and my landlord was threatening to kick me out. And I would go to this like almost like a destitute kind of center. And I would get free food and all of that. I would beg for Subway swipes. I couldn't afford all of these classes because, again, we were in debt. And also I moved here because I wanted to get my mom out of debt. I like help her with that. So I went to Martha Graham because the classes were $5. And then I started like this meditation. It sounds corny, but I had like a vision board, and I was like, I'm going to get out of this and I'm going to be abundant and I'm going to go to Martha Graham School. And I kind of started attracting all of that, and slowly money came in, not too much, but good enough to pay tuition for the Martha Graham School. And I got into Marthagram after doing loads and loads of ballet. So I would take a lot of privates, go back to $0 in the bank, but take a lot of privates, do 3-4 ballet classes a day, and then take this gram class. Then I went to the summer intensive and I get accepted for the full-time program. And that's how it goes. I just love it because there's a lot of like wistful energy in gram technique, because she herself had a lot of pain in her life. I mean, at this point, which most celebrated artist doesn't have that, right? It's sad. But I used to think, like, after reading all these autobiographies and biographies of all these famous artists, I thought, oh, to be a successful artist, I'm supposed to be the sad alcoholic alone in her mansion, right? I thought that's how it's destined to be. And I thought that's how it's gonna be. And then I realized, no, I don't want to be a Martha Graham. I don't want to be that sad loner anymore.
Yeah.
But again, recently I've been thinking, because of how misunderstood I feel, and with all of this sensationalism coming in towards me, it feels more lonely. And it kind of, again, I'm going back to the theme of maybe a lot of success and brilliance and freedom is pertained to being lonely and sad. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out, because the more I have these creative urges and like these ideas, these brilliant ideas, and the things I want to do generously for my people and for my art form, the more lonely I feel. And I think that's how it is. I think the more normal you are, the more people are going to relate to you and understand you. And I actually have been crying a lot about this recently. As my friend, that I just want to do so much for the thing I was telling about students, right? I want how the students I can do, and like these dancers I can do choreographies on, and have this kind of life and this vision. And now the Kuchipudi I do actually is kind of you know looked down upon, and like they think it's like a fusion style, and it's a disgrace to the traditional Kuchipudi I do, and I'm not accepted by the actual Kuchipudi circle. Like, there are a lot of people like you who appreciate my dance style, but like the actual traditional Kuchipudi dancers kind of see me as this weird dancer who's doing whatever. And it's kind of sad, because I feel like whatever I do when I'm alive, no one is gonna actually appreciate it. And I think only when I'm gonna die, people might be like, oh, there's something in what she's doing here.
Yeah.
And I feel kind of sad, that I can live. Maybe, I don't know, maybe people will appreciate what I do. But right now, people kind of, brush it off. And they say that's not real Kuchipudi. It's like Yamini's weird style. But the thing is, a lot of Vempati Chinnasatyam also he's one of the maestros of Kuchipudi. He also brought a lot of things which were not Kuchipudi, which were foreign elements in Kuchipudi. But now that is the Kuchipudi we do. So why do we have to wait until that person dies to be like, oh wow, this is amazing?
Yeah. People are always suspicious and skeptical of change. I think you don't say I'm promoting traditional classical Kuchipudi. So I don't think anyone can accuse you of marketing something that you're not actually marketing. I think you're pretty frank and honest about how your work explores these eternal themes through Kuchipudi, ballet, and modern dance.
Yeah, but I also do traditional Kuchipudi also.
Yes.
in my traditional repertoire, there's still a lot of balletic mannerisms and modern dance mannerisms. But like, for example, doing your head like this by looking at your hand, or just this, I like to sometimes go more, extend my lines further, and my posture looks more balletic. But I love that about my dancing. But a lot of the times it's like, oh, that's not Kuchipudi. But what is pure anyway? Everything is a compounded existence. None of it is an inherent original thing.
Yeah.
Like even the language Telugu has a lot of Urdu words, Sanskrit words, Dravidian words. There's nothing Telugu, or
Yeah.
Kuchipudi. Kuchipudi has a lot of Odissi elements and some Bharatanatyam regimentation in it now. And a lot of it was revised. Kuchipudi was a more theatrical form. So it kind of looked like Yakshaganam, So Yakshaganam is like the street theater,
Yeah.
a lot of singing, and it's a theater form. So whatever we see now wasn't the Kuchipudi we saw. And yeah, it's just sometimes I just feel lonely.
Frustrated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm tired of seeing the same traditional, not traditional, I love tradition, but I'm tired of seeing the same choreographies we were doing 50 years ago. We are still doing the same choreographies. And a lot of my Bharatanatyam friends, why do you guys always do Bhama Kalapam? Why do you guys always do Krishna Shabdam? Is that all? Is that all Kuchipudi is? No, we need more creative voices in Kuchipudi and new pieces, new themes, new explorations. We still need to do those pieces as part of our training, but we can't keep performing those same pieces.
Sure.
That is why I only perform my own choreographies. I don't perform anybody else's because it forces me to see Kuchipudi in a different light and forces me to explore Kuchipudi pedagogy and vocabulary in different ways. It's the same arrangement of steps. Same, when the Didite will come, even before the dancer, I see new choreographies, but it's again it's a copy. It's the same
Yeah.
arrangement of steps. When that Didita will come and when they're gonna do that. It's the same structure. We need to experiment more, and I think we need to be more risk-taking. Okay, what if you fail and it looks weird? Who cares?
Yeah.
Scheme of themes. Why do you always have to be proper and perfect? I think there are no risk takers in Kuchipudi, and for me right now.
Yeah.
I think I'll be bashed for this, but that's okay.
Oh,
I mean, I'm used to the hate. So
tell me, Yamini, your love of the progressive streak in dance is something that's very clear, and you've talked about it. But you also said you love tradition quite a bit. So what is it about the traditional streak in dance that appeals to you and resonates with you so deeply?
I think tradition for me keeps me very grounded, right? And it gives me clarity, and it also answers the questions about identity, versus I don't know who I am. I don't know whether I'm American or Indian. Like, thankfully, I don't have that dilemma. Though
Yeah.
I was born in the United States. I mean, it's very clear. I'm Indian. I have an accent. I grew up there. I speak the languages.
Yeah.
I know, but technically American, but I'm Indian. Also, like, tradition is, I think a lot of the values which come from tradition is about being patient, meaning you are not looking for the next trend for your dopamine.
Yeah.
Tradition is about integrity, right? You're not a people pleaser to just fit in as the trendy,
Yeah.
cool, chic person. It's about, yeah, the trends keep going, and it's like you have to be steady with your thing, and you maintain that core. And also, tradition is a reminder for us that it always stays alive no matter what. Like all these TikTok trends will come and go, popular music comes and goes, and but why is this tradition still alive? But tradition also means it's a continual process of renewal. If we don't renew it, the tradition is not going to stay alive. So tradition is not uh, picking a trend and doing like a cut paste thing to the tradition, right? It's about how can I stay relevant with my tradition so I can continue this eternal relationship I have signed with this thing called tradition. You need to stay in that contract, right? But for you to continue that marriage with tradition, you got to be relevant, or else it dies. And when it dies, you kind of die. Some part of you dies. So I think for your love to stay alive, you need to renew it. You can't just let it grow, let it be. Like it's like being in a relationship, right? It is quite nice feeling if your partner just stayed in that place when you met that partner on day one. Like just like, for example, let's say high school love, right? And your boyfriend is like in the lost and confused, like he doesn't know what to do, and he's like kind of cute and like there, in that place of I don't know what I want to do, but I love you so much. It's nice for that boyfriend to be in that place of being lost and confused like a puppy. Nice, because when he's like lost and confused, he's gonna be with you forever, and like you'll be in that problem together. It's like two potheads together, but it's when the true love is when you let your partner grow and change, and you're still with your partner. When the partner says, I finally know that this is my passion. I'm not lost and confused anymore. And these are my values. And this is where I want to be. And I want you to join me there. And you're like, wow. So that's where you are. Okay, this is where I am, and here we can meet.
Yeah.
It's not like selfishly, it's amazing for our ego when that partner is like a puppy. And I think a lot of when they find their strength, sometimes a good number of men can't accept that this woman knows what she wants to do and like knows where she wants to be headed. And then immediate thing is you're not feminine anymore, and then they throw a tantrum and leave, or both of them leave. But I think the relationship with tradition is that
Yeah.
you want it to be like that. And reality, and we get clingy, and ego comes, and you want tradition the way you want it to be. But the reality is, if you really love the tradition you are acquainted with, you have to let it go, let it change, and let it mold in the way it is relevant to the time, so it can serve the youth and the people of this generation and this planet. You can't let tradition just be in a cage so that it can serve your needs and tastes and your preferences and your ideas of what it has to be, because that just doesn't belong to your group of people and your community. Tradition belongs to all these people who grew up, or all these people across the world who are interested in this art form. How can Kuchipudi just belongs to the Telugu people?
Yeah.
All these wonderful people from Europe, from African countries, from South America, all these people who are interested in Kuchipudi belong to this tradition, because love is what unites us in tradition, not the skin color and all of that. It's the love. It's mere love. As an artist, I must be open-minded for that. I must not like it, but I might not like it, but I must still embrace what's happening with tradition. And just because I'm attached to tradition as a child, like in with those ideas, it's quite selfish. And that's when the artist dies, when you become selfish and you're not curious anymore and you're not open-minded anymore. And these three things are important: curious, open-minded, and selfless. An artist has to be selfless. And when people become fundamentalists and these closed-minded, snobby, snooty people who just want to keep the tradition to themselves, that's when it dies. And that's why Kuchipudi is becoming very endangered versus this one of the most celebrated dance styles of India. And Bharatanatyam is not going through that problem because there are so many innovative artists who are willing to take risks, and let other artists who are letting them take risks and have healthy conversations. Kuchipudi doesn't really have those people who can have those healthy conversations. It's constantly shaming people who are actually taking risks. So
then, Yamini, in your own classes and in your own choreography, because you teach and you're a choreographer too now, how do you navigate these competing currents of progressivism and conservatism within your art?
in my classes, you mean?
Yeah, I guess we'll start with classes and then maybe in your choreography too, we could talk about it.
So in my classes, I take live examples, like students come from other dance schools and they say, I have knee pain, I have this pain, I feel like that. It's a simple example of injuries, right? And here the innovation I am bringing in is injury prevention, because the fundamentalists will be like, oh, you don't have to do any strengthening or workouts for Kuchipudi. Doing Kuchipudi itself is the workout.
Yeah.
You don't need any kind of conditioning, they will say. Or, though the knee is hurting, that's how it's supposed to aesthetically look. So you are supposed to do it like that. Then it's your body which is at fault. It's not the art form. You're not made for this. So go find another form. That's the fundamentalist way, right? But then I show them some techniques which I've learned from Pilates and ballet and Graham. Do it like this. It's more beautiful and it gives you more freedom in moving and you won't be injured. How great is that? That's the progressive way. I'm not changing the mudra or the position and the aesthetic, but the feeling and the placement of your body is different.
Yeah.
When that feeling change, the fundamentalists come and attack you. And that is when we know the truth. Like my students and myself know the truth. Like doing like this is going to preserve my body. And I have more range of motion. Right? And the lines are looking longer and expansive, and I'm taking up space. Why would you dance like you're dancing in a closet? COVID is over.
Yeah.
Kinda.
And then what about in your choreography, Yamini? What does that balance look like?
I mean, in choreography, so
It's
if
a
there,
hard question. Yeah.
I mean, it's a hard question to verbally answer. It's better to like show it.
Watch your, yeah.
But so if there is a traditional structure of, oh, it should always start in this position and you need to do it this way. But the question is, why shouldn't it be the other way? Because Natya Shastra is a bulky treatise.
Why don't you explain what that is for people who don't know what that is?
So Natya Shastra is basically the Bible of Indian classical dance, right? It's a huge reference, ancient text, bulky treatise
Yeah.
with all Indian classical dance pedagogy, vocabulary. It's like
It's
it's
impressive.
an instruction manual, like how should you stand, how should you look, these are the ways to be, this is the kind of lifestyle you want, all of that. It's huge, it's bulky, and when it's that bulky, and we are classical dance style because we've borrowed a lot of pedagogy and vocabulary. Why should be Kuchipudi just limited to this amount of vocabulary? Why can't it slightly expand further, why should it just stay with this amount of pedagogy and this way of moving, right? But then a lot of Kuchipudi dancers say, but that's the essence of how it's supposed to look. Who's saying that the core of Kuchipudi will be changed by just adding a few extra moves and few different mannerisms of moving? Who says? Because let's take a language, right? Telugu. Let's say Telugu was all just Telugu words.
Yeah.
And when the Mughals and the Sultans and all these people came, Nizams were ruling the Telugu part. We had Urdu words in Telugu. Yeah. So because Urdu words are coming into Telugu, it's not Telugu anymore, and you can't understand me anymore.
No, languages are living. Yeah, languages live.
Telugu people can understand the Rayalaseema Telugu people. Rayalaseema Telugu people bring a lot of Tamil and Kannada words into their Telugu. So it's not Telugu anymore.
Yeah.
What are you saying? Just because the accent and the cadence of the dance is changing doesn't mean it's not Kuchipudi anymore. Yeah. And I people lack patience in understanding that. So like sometimes what I do is I do like a ballet exercise, a ballet combination. And I'm like, how would the same ballet combination look like when it's Kuchipudi? And I kind of borrow those elements which kind of look, which actually gel well. Right? Not everything. I'm not going to bring a random grand jeté into Kuchipudi and be like, this is Kuchipudi now. No, it's done tastefully. I'm not going to just do cut paste. Let me bring this assemble and this and that. No, whatever I know, Indian classical dance is a grounded dance form. So I'm not going to bring a random petite allegro and a grand allegro into Kuchipudi and say, this is Kuchipudi. No, because Kuchipudi is always rooted. We need to understand the nature of the dance step. So if Kuchipudi is a grounded dance style, what are some grounded movements which are really into the floor and really moving across the floor, which actually fit this dance style? We are not just randomly cut pasting new steps into it. That's my way of looking at it. And also coming to technique, right? For example, a lot of Indian classical dancers dance with relaxed feet. They don't really point as much, point their feet or flex, use like an expression of the foot. There's a lot of thought is not going to the training of the feet, though we have something called pada bhedas, different expressions of the feet. when Bharata Muni has laid out different positions of the feet, different ways to use your feet, why would you spend most of your dancing with relaxed feet, biscuit feet? Doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
And then you say it's a classical dance style because it's so prescribed and nuanced and defined, but you're not defined here. Why don't you get OCD about every part of it? I think classical dancer is about that, right? We get so
Yeah.
nitty
It's
about,
obsessive. Yeah.
but you're getting nitty-gritty about in your fundamentalist values versus actual technique. So I like that balletic perfection in my Indian classical dance style, because in the end it's a classical dance style. It's not a random social folk commercial dance. Are those other dance styles? Again, when I say that, people think I'm saying in a derogatory way. No, I'm not. I do those dance styles and I enjoy them. It's just that we need to discern
Yeah.
these dance styles. That's all I'm saying.
And then do your students have any opportunity to study like history and theory too, or is that something that you've sort of had to give up over the years as part of your students' education?
No, I am not giving up anything to please anybody. No, especially now because I get a lot of students. I do have that luxury. I know in the beginning, when I didn't have any money, I had to teach in a way that pleased other people. But now I'm like, I'm not pleasing anybody. You bored with learning this history and shlokas? Go find the other commercial teacher who will please you. I'm not gonna do that. Yes, if this class is just sitting with you just listening to me talking about history and all of the Sanskrit verses in Natya Shastra, so we know what actually this dance style is. So be it. If you can't listen to that and you don't have the patience, it's like a karate kid, right? The boy is like, teach me the fights, teach me the fight. I want to fight. And the teacher is like, no, you just first hang your jacket.
Yeah.
First master that. And yeah, classical dance is first instilling the values and the discipline and the mindset you need. It's not about you holding that perfect Krishna pose, like, sorry. No, first show me you have the right mindset and the values to endure this training. Yeah, it's enduring. It's a lot of discomfort and a lot of focus. You can't be thinking about, can I have ice cream after this dance class? No, no. If you
Yeah.
want to have ice cream now, have it and quit. Go. Like that, you need to train your mind to be present here. It's not about the date, sexy date you're gonna go after, or the ice cream you're gonna get later. No, it's about, can I do this mudra properly now? And I think that's the kind of focus I want from my students. So by actually doing these history classes and just sitting down, I weed out the people who are not my fit.
Yeah.
The girls and the students who are really passionate about dance and who really love this experience stay. And actually, most of my students did stay. And I'm so happy I'm attracting. See, that is why it's important to have a vision board and values out loud and your boundaries, so you attract those kind of people. If you're like, oh, but all of these people are like that, yeah, reality is there are a lot of people who are like, have that sellout and like commercial stuff and all of that. But the reality is all of my students love my history class and the shloka class. No one ever complained.
Mm.
So that means I must also focus on the hope that there's so many, a good number of people who are also invested in going through this practice of looking at all the aspects of dance and not just choreography and the gimmicks.
Yeah.
How blessed am I, and how grateful should I be to have such students who are in a holistic process with me versus just the gimmick.
Yeah.
That gives me a lot of hope and gratitude. Though there's a sea of people who just want the commercial aspects, but how lucky am I to get to have those a good number of people who do want the holistic aspect of dance.
Yeah. You know, Yamini, and I'm curious if your experience reflects this, but I think, you know, um, kids growing up today are just under this deluge of distractions, whether it's smartphones, and usually just smartphones, actually. And I think more people are actually craving the kind of discipline and structure that you describe, and they just might not know it yet. I think I see that in some of our younger medical students who are rotating through surgery and find themselves subjected now to a much stricter daily regimen than they had before. I think there's more young people that this discipline and rigidity would appeal to.
Yeah, the reality is a lot of kids are distracted. Forget about kids.
Adults.
I'm walking on the street, literally these people are walking in front of me with their face in the phone and locked in front of them.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's awful. And yes, majority is like that now. Again, there's a good chunk of people who are not like that, and I am attracting those people. So if I also spend most of my time complaining about the majority, I do complain, but if I spend most of my time complaining about that majority who are looking at their phones constantly, who are distracted people, instant gratification people, um you know um I will attract those people only, because that's where I'm putting my energy towards and focusing my energy on. But if I'm like, oh, if I also focus on my energy, that I'm not that kind of person, and I'm sure there are a lot of people on this planet who are like me, and I'm going to attract those people. And it's important because I do have a habit to become skeptical, and like everybody's like this, and especially in New York, you have no choice but to become skeptical. If every 2 seconds now I see someone looking at their phone and on the street and not even looking where they're going, and looking at their phone and driving, and they don't care if they die. That's how it's become, the instant pleasure of the looking at that notification has become more important than their own precious life. Forget about dance, right? So yeah, people will be looking at their phones, and there were a couple times, but once I've told them, they didn't do it again. Because it's not about not doing it. I am telling them, guys, I am giving you my 150%. And why I want you to give back the same. And if you can't do that, please don't come to my class. I really, I don't need you. I need dance. I don't need you. So if you need to look at your phone, go look at your phone. Don't come to class. And I'm grateful, though no one really looks at their phones in my classes. But when I go to public schools and stuff, it's sad. The middle school kids, they're always on their phones. They're making TikTok reels as I'm teaching, and it's nasty. It's also the parents. Parents look at their phones, kids learn from that.
Yeah.
Thinking, should I have kids?
Yeah. No, I misspoke when I talked about it just affecting young people. It's definitely, you see adults do the exact same thing too. But I just think that more people crave the sort of meditative, contemplative focus that you describe than they themselves are aware of. Most people don't know that there's a better option out there.
Yeah, they don't know the better option. That's why they are not. Like, I go to this meditation class, which is right on this big, on Atlantic Avenue, right? Like, it's a popular
Yeah,
street, right? And it's a big, nice big board. People go to the bakery next to the meditation center, but hardly any people going to the meditation center. And I'm like, how is that even possible in such a stressful city? Yeah, they would rather spend time getting wasted with drinking and drugs and partying and waking up next to a rando than coming to a meditation class. They prefer their time in like that, and we can't blame them. It's a
sure.
these there's a lot of pain, but yeah, the priority. Also, I don't want to sound like I have no empathy and all of that, because I've had my own substance issues and my own share of stuff.
Sure.
Know where people come from when they're doing it, and I empathize. And I have my own friends who have problems with substances and struggling with that, and I love them dearly. I don't
Of
judge them,
course.
but it's just like the fact that people would rather numb the pain immediately. I mean, isn't it natural? Numb the pain immediately, then
Sure.
go process of discomfort and actually lift off that pain from the core with years of practice.
Yeah,
And with also watching TikTok reels, such short form content, we are learning to be impatient. So I mean, all I can do is I can set a good example to my students and my community by being present. I make sure if I have to send a Zoom link to a scholarship student, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't usually look at my phone, as you know, but I really need to attend to the
yeah,
student sending the. I also apologize for sending a Zoom link to my students on the phone as I'm teaching a class, which I mean, I should send a Zoom link, but I know how looking at the phone can turn off people. So I excuse myself. You just can't look at your phone constantly like that. So I think me setting a good example by not looking at my phone is also inspiring my students not to look at their phones, and also talking about being present and stuff like that, and being vulnerable. Like when my grandma passed away and I go through my stuff, I tell my students about it. Like, I went through this, guys, and like that kind of love and being vulnerable will make them want to be present.
sure. Yeah,
Just, hi, okay, do, okay, bye. Then they will look at their phone and they're like, oh, I'm interacting with a robot or this human who doesn't want to be vulnerable with me. So I'd rather find that connection on the phone with some person who's texting me right now.
yeah. I
Yeah.
guess on the subject then of managing technology, Yamini, you're in a very public career, you occupy a very public space, you perform, you teach, you have a social media presence that promotes your art form. And you described yourself as someone who, as a little girl, just loved being the center of attention. And you're a performer. You have that energy and presence about you. My question then is, how do you consciously think about your own ego, and how do you manage it? And what could other young people learn from that?
I mean, there's a lot of ego. I mean, ego juice in me. Um, with, I mean, obviously meditation, right? So I do a practice called I'm not my body and mind, and there is no I. And oh, how can that fix the stuff? But a lot of my journaling goes around that I'm not my body and mind. Meaning, like, see, my dance was only possible, like my meditation, my teacher was saying, every concept you understand in class, you must always attach it with metaphors and analogy to actually internalize the knowledge you are receiving in class. That's how it becomes wisdom, by understanding it and acting with it, right? And so, for example, me just chanting, I'm not my body and mind, there is no I, is not going to actually do anything. As I'm chanting that, I must also imagine these. That's the art. That's where the artist comes in. I must attach these analogies. For example, my dance is not possible if my mother didn't put me in dance, or if no natural gift, like maybe my ancestors were dancing and I got it in me. And then my friends who supported me. And without my students, I wouldn't have been able to make dance as a career. Without my dance teacher, who, though she's put me in a lot of pain, without her giving me this knowledge, I wouldn't be here. So, like, I am a compounded existence of all of that. I wouldn't be here if I'm not a mix of the sunlight I receive, the food I eat, the information I get from everywhere, my interactions and the trends and the culture. Like, just because my body to the eye as an illusion looks separate from the world doesn't mean this is an inherent separate entity. I am part of a much grander scheme and arrangement of things, this phenomenon, right? So I constantly have to keep reminding myself, and I keep failing at it, and I keep picking. I'm still a beginner, obviously I'm not, and you very close to, I maybe in a few lives I will be enlightened, but I'm nowhere close to it. But I constantly need to remind myself that there is no Yamini, it's just a name.
Yeah.
So that is how sometimes I think about my ego. And if you just keep chanting these with dogma, you are not going to get anywhere close. That's where art is important. You need to imagine, create these metaphors. Like, for example, to tell these some spiritual stories, like, your attachments and expectations is like a bird tied up, right? That's there. Yeah. And then when you're liberated through your meditation, it's like that bird is free from its cage or being tied up. It's free now. So imagine the stories you can create in your mind to actually become one with the truth is important. That's why art is important. Just say, if the teacher said, oh, your body and you're not your body and mind, and there is no I, what did you understand from that? Nothing. But when there are stories attached to it, there's music attached to it, and there are these powerful dance productions telling these stories.
Yeah.
Right? And you remember that story forever, and you keep replaying that story each time you want to get closer to the truth. So that is where dance becomes important to me, in exploring these themes of destroying ego and all of that. Coming to not having an ego, like, I personally don't care about it looks like I care about my Instagram. Actually, my friend she does want me to care about my Instagram more and making it more thematic and uniform. I don't care about that. I just like something I do, and I enjoy that process. And if I like that moment of my dance, I just post it. That's all. And I like to share my truth. And since my reputation was constantly ruined since I was a child, and a lot of rumors being spread and a lot of hate coming towards me, I don't care about people's judgments anymore. That's why I'm also grateful to all those shaming and reputation ruining and all that, because now I've become a rock. I don't care about it. You can talk. There are a lot of people who send me spiteful emails and like on my videos saying, oh, you are destroying Indian culture and all that. Like, okay, another day. I've been hearing this for a long time. So my ego is not bruised by that, or it doesn't create my ego just because I have whatever followers or anything, because I know that that can also go, that can be destroyed in a day if someone hacked it, or someone hacked my account, or I post something where people hate and they immediately unfollow because it's politically incorrect or something like that. They might go. So kind of telling, not everything is impermanent. Nothing is gonna stay. Everything
Yeah.
is gonna die. I've experienced that in India. I had a home, I had stability, I had comfort. United States, I was almost homeless.
Yeah.
There you go. So when you experience all this uncertainty and impermanence, and you remind yourself about that, you're good. Your ego is gonna be like tamed.
Yeah. So Yamini, you've brought up truth a couple times, and I think that's interesting. Do you think your art is a journey towards truth? Artistic expression is, you've
Yeah,
brought up truth so much.
it cannot be anything else. I get I am I get so frustrated when people like have this phony fake like, wow, you're so good, or like,
Yeah.
oh, I think I'm so indebted to my gurus with the
Yeah. You
abuse.
really dislike artifice. That's
Yeah,
very, yeah.
yeah. See, I am grateful to my teacher, but I do thank her for all the experience, and that I am working on my ego, right? So I cannot say like, my guru didn't do anything. Yeah, my guru did a lot of things, but it's also important to talk about the toxic things she's done, and I can't just shove it under the rug, right? So because since I was young, a little kid, I would get restless if I didn't speak the truth. Like I have to say it. I'm the least diplomatic person you'll ever meet. So for if my art doesn't speak the truth, I think I'd go in depression. I need to say it. I need to say the truth. I need to speak my ideas, however wild they can sound. They might sound to the general public. Yeah, for me, it's important that however weird it is, however wild it is,
Yeah.
however unconventional it is, I have to say it. I have to say, you hate it. Okay, very good. Because I know for a fact that my dear ones, my close ones, the few who actually love me no matter what. You
Yeah.
are all just sensationalism people. You're not,
Yeah.
if you loved me, you would accept whatever art I created,
Yeah.
right? That's anyway, yeah, it's important that my art, and it does, all of my choreography spoke my truth, and I hope to continue. I will continue. What hope? I know that
Yeah.
I will continue on that path of speaking my truth.
So on that subject, Yamini, what are you looking forward to? What do the next couple years have in your future? What are you excited about right now?
Well, I have my ensemble of musicians and dancers, and I want to create more work with them. I want my school to grow, and in the somewhere in the near future, I would want to have like a physical location for my conservatory, and like,
Describe what that would look like. What if you could design your dream conservatory, what would it be?
oh yeah, I would be in the woods, all glass with a big Nataraj Shiva statue in the middle.
Wow.
Yeah, just glass everywhere.
Nature, glass. Yeah.
So it's in the woods, just a glass conservatory, wooden floor, and there would be some rooms for my scholarship students or students abroad, and there would be like it would be like a retreat center, and like there would be yoga, and they will also train in ballet and Pilates along with Kuchipudi and Carnatic music. It's like some spa vibes,
Yeah.
but
But classical dance.
yeah, classical dance, smelling of incense, and
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to be in the woods, a glass. I wanted to be like the Jacob's pillow
Yeah,
of,
I was just thinking of Jacob's pillow, actually.
yeah, Jacob's pillow of Indian classical
Yeah.
dance.
No one's done that yet. I don't think so.
Yeah, no one, because most of us teach in the basements of our house.
Yeah, I when you started to talk about the woods, I thought immediately of Jacob's pillow. That's that's your vision.
Yeah, I can't wait. But the thing is, I don't want to do it too soon because right now I'm performing a lot, and I want to do that when I can actually give more time physically to my
Sure.
students. But now I actually immediate thing though, I want to teach a lot of workshops across the world and travel and perform across the world. I want to perform in Europe,
Sure.
um, teach there a bit.
Yeah. And then what performances do you have coming up?
September 15th,
Okay.
in Brooklyn. The details are on my Instagram, and you can sign up for my mailing list to come to the show. It's a fundraiser for my ensemble because I started a new dance company, and we are premiering in November to Western classical music. And the music is composed by Reena Ismail, and she brings together Indian classical music and Western classical music together in her work.
Wow. And
So,
that's in November
yeah, that's in November. And I am performing September 15th, Kuchipudi and modern dance to Bach.
in New York, in Brooklyn. Well, that's exciting. I'll make sure I include links to that below.
Yes.
All right, Yamini, any last minute advice for young dancers out there who are trying to carve out a unique space for themselves artistically?
Huh. Uh, Train a lot and train different dance styles if you can. Um, be a risk taker. Enjoy the process. Don't keep looking for outcomes. Network in person, in events. Um, Yep, make your social media look professional. Don't post selfies on your, if you want your Instagram to bring you opportunities, don't do selfies.
Yeah,
Just just post your dance content. Keep it like LinkedIn. For artists, Instagram is your LinkedIn. So
yeah,
don't post these, and don't do those whatever trendy reels or
yeah,
tacky. If
yeah,
you really want nice paid performance opportunities, brand it properly. I mean, if you're doing commercial dance, then yeah, trendy TikToks. But if you're a classical dancer, keep keep it clean. Do a lot of photo shoots. Um, have a nice portfolio. Have a website. Um, don't do those selfie reels and the thirst trappy things, and you can have a special separate Instagram for that, the for like a dating profile. You can have a dating profile and professional profile, right?
sure.
Profile have those bikini pics on there, and for professional, don't
Yeah.
don't even think about that.
Well, that's good advice. I think the lines of personal and professional are blurred more than ever. And I think
Yeah,
that's good advice for anyone.
I must say the last, I think a lot of my success comes from my social media being a bit organized with my content. Like ever since I was like 15, 16, I knew that my social media should exude dancer vibes,
Mm,
the opportunities I want. And I want, if dancers want to see that kind of success, their social medias are very important. and post regularly, not too often either, like you have nothing else to do. But post regularly and no selfies. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Yamini, thank you so much for your time today. You are truly one of the most unique people I think I've crossed paths with. You know, you're uniquely talented, but you're just fiercely, fiercely passionate about what you do. And you're so thoughtful about the decisions that you've made artistically and in your personal life. And it's been such a pleasure listening to that journey. So thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you so much for having me on, and I can't wait to see where our relationship goes personally.
Yeah, I'm looking. Well, it would be wonderful. I think I'll try and come to this show of yours in New York. I'd love to finally meet you in person and see this Bach piece live.
Yeah.
All right, Yamini. Thank you so much. I wish you all the very best, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Take care.